You have to reach out to the cash buyers. They're not just gonna see you because you put it on Facebook or see you because you texted or emailed. Guys, welcome back. I'm in the studio here again at this event, sitting down here with David Olds. David?
Dude,
it's been great to get to know you. Guys, we did a video previously. I hope you guys saw that. If you didn't, I'll put a link to go watch that video. But David sat down and he really broke down for us how to manage the relationships to close out your contracts and really do that transaction coordination part of the business. So a great video, thank you, gave some great tips, and you've agreed to sit down with me and talk about another topic which is really on my mind a lot in my wholesaling business, and that's on the Dyspo side.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Dyspo, if you're new to what that means, it's dispositions, it means finding your cash buyer, right? So in wholesaling, there's two sides. There's acquisitions and then there's dispositions. And they're two very independent functions of a wholesaling business. One doesn't live without the other, obviously. But Dyspo has tended to get like an afterthought, or like it's secondary, or maybe not as important. Yeah. And it felt like that quite a bit in the previous market, where it was a very hot market, very low inventory. So you had to put so much attention just into acquisitions and getting the good deal. And then you could wave a contract in the air and someone would buy it for you. So Dyspo was sort of like the easier part of the two.
It was, and that was definitely a shift from when I started in 2009, which was after the last crash.
Me too.
There was not a buyer to be found.
Yeah.
Rehabbers just disappeared because you have to remember, right? The banks were so busy taking properties back, they were not lending to anybody new, right? So rehabbers just went away because there was nobody to sell their deals to. So we had to get really good at dispositions and finding buyers.
And it's not as bad now, but we've definitely lost a lot of cash buyers. It is way more now about the relationship with your cash buyers. You can't just wave a contract and get a buyer. You've got to now create these relationships, find them. So we're doing a lot more work on Dyspo than we were, in the past couple years. Yeah. So talk about this. What are you doing with Dyspo, and what are some great tips and advice for people that can do Dyspo better?
Yeah. So one of the reasons that we've always been very successful at Dyspo is we approach it with kind of that same aggressive manner that people go out and find sellers, right? We've always done that. So when we have a deal, and this comes from I had spent a lot of years in retail, grand openings and all that type of stuff. So when we have a property, we call it a launch. Like, we do everything we can at one time to get this property out to the marketplace, right? We don't want to do, I'm going to post it on Facebook today and see if that works. And then 4 days later, maybe I should put it on Craigslist. And a couple days later, that hasn't worked. Let me do an email.
I'll do an email to my list of 500 people that I gathered.
500 people, right?
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So, as we started scaling out our business, and before I hired Dyspo, a team, I was doing it, and I was just good at it because I did it, right? But I hired these three girls, and I remember coming out of the office one day, Jerry, and I said, "Okay, how's it going? What's going on with our deals?"
Yeah.
And the first girl says, "Well, we're doing this, and this," and the other one's like, "Well, I'm doing that, this, and the other thing," and the third one's like, completely different stuff. And I'm like, okay, hold on.
Or my Dyspo would be like, we got a ton of interest. Well, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Do you have offers, right? So I'd be like, listen, you're all doing 6 of 10 things, and none of you are even doing the same 6, right? So we need to start to get a process together. So, the process is not that complicated. Actually, I've got a great list. I'll give it to you, and you can put it as an attachment here. But there are basically 10 things that we do to sell every deal, right? We're Investor Lift users. So the very first thing is we want to get the property up on Investor Lift. And
guys, if you don't know, Investor Lift is both you and I are really good friends with Rob Wensley. Yep. He built an amazing platform where you can actually Dyspo your deals on the platform because they've aggregated the data of the cash buyers, and they know the best cash buyers, the active cash buyers, and so you go on there and you can actually use their platform to find your cash buyers. So it's an amazing platform.
It's the greatest collection of data that I've ever seen. He does amazing work. So, we want to do a good job. We want to put that property on there. We want to give people all the information. And what I like to think about, Jerry, when I'm doing it is, okay, if I have a house in West Virginia and my buyer's in California, have I given them all the information that they need to make a buying decision? Have I given them enough pictures? Have I given them
without going to the property even.
Without going to the property, right?
That's the goal. The goal would be, can they make a decision without having to physically see the property? If you couldn't make a decision about buying it without physically seeing it, they're not going to be able to. That's how I like to look at that.
And sort of where you started at the beginning, people got lazy the last couple of years. I get it. I've been through 2 big, hot, crazy markets. And when it's hot, right? You could just throw a sign in the yard, your dog could sell a property.
It's funny, I do a lot of interviews with like new students, and when I get to their story about how they dispoed, they're like, well, I just put a post on Facebook and I had 8 people call me and I sold it to one of them.
Yeah, those days are done.
That's not dispo.
No,
guys, that's not dispo.
No.
That's just luck.
Yeah.
That's not luck. That's just a hot market.
Right, which is
That's
cool.
and that's not scalable, by the way.
Right.
That's not a scalable business model. If it worked and you got your deal done, fantastic.
Awesome.
And if that worked again and again, fantastic. But you cannot scale and grow a business where markets fluctuate if you don't learn a real dispo business.
Yeah, you got to have a system and you have to have processes that are repeatable that we do every single time.
And it's outreach. You have to reach out to the cash buyers. They're not just going to see you because you put it on Facebook or see you because you texted or emailed.
Well, think about it. Facebook, it constantly scrolls.
Yeah.
So I may have put something up there yesterday at 5 o'clock. That's gone. You ever done that where you're on Facebook and you're like, oh, I saw this great post 5 minutes ago. And you scroll for like an hour to try to, it's gone, right? It's just disappeared.
Yeah.
So we'll, we fill out our website. We get all the information on there, whatever site you're using. We're emailing it out. We're downloading a list of buyers, some from Investor List, some from PropStream or Privy or whoever it is, recent cash buyers. We're skip tracing those. We're SMS blasting them. We're sending RVMs. RVMs are different in every state. So if they're cool in your state, do it. If not, that's okay. But then, and we're still posting on Craigslist. Craigslist still hits. We sell at least 1 deal a month on Craigslist.
Yeah.
People laugh and they, young kids are like, that's stupid. I'm like, who do you think's buying your houses, dude? 50-year-old guys like me. That's where we went before we had Facebook, right? So Craigslist still hits.
That's cool to hear because we've done a lot on Craigslist too.
Yeah. So everything that we're doing, and all of those things are done within the first hour or two. So what we're doing is we're blasting out this property every place we possibly can because I want an inbound call. I want someone to call me and say, hey, I need this deal, right? The goal is to get our Dyspo phones to melt. So if for some reason it hasn't sold in the first couple hours that way, the next thing we'll do is now we're taking that same list that we downloaded, we're throwing it in the dialer, and our team is just cold calling them.
You guys catch that?
Yeah.
So you're blasting out with your mass marketing, which is your text, email, all of that, post and everything.
And those drive calls to you, which is awesome.
It creates inbound.
Right.
But then if you don't move that deal in those first 24 hours, now you switch to an outbound model.
Right.
And now you're actually outreaching.
And now I'm calling you, hey, Jerry, this is David with Nationwide Property Liquidators. Hey, I'm not sure if you're still buying deals. I saw you bought one over on Elm Street. Looks like about $50,000. I've got this one over on Penelope Lane.
2 streets over.
2 streets over. It's actually a little bit cheaper. I didn't know if you were still looking for a good deal.
Yeah.
Right. So we're doing that kind of stuff.
Genius.
And we'll send postcards. We'll do all kinds of different things.
What's your goal? How many? I got mine. I want to know what yours is to get a contract with a buyer. How from seller contract to cash buyer contract? What's your goal? How many days?
The goal is 21. Right. And mine may
not
be
close.
No, to get the contract. We're running about 43 days right now from end to end. And every deal is going to be a little different. Novation deals go a little longer. So the average is going to be a little bit different.
So it takes a minute.
It does. It does.
Maybe I need to adjust some of my expectations with my team because I tell them I want a contract in 48 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we talking from the time Dyspo launches it? I was talking about the whole from...
No, so that's what I meant. From when you start your outreach, your Dyspo to a buyer...
Yeah, I'm the same thing. We want it guaranteed that week.
Okay.
Within a week, right? I'm sorry. I was like from the day we signed it with the seller.
Days.
No. My God, we'd be doing this forever.
Yeah.
No, speed counts, right? Yeah. And one of the things that stretches these out when you're in between acquisitions and Dyspo, there's sort of that dead period where if you're working virtual, we've got to go get pictures, we've got to do those things, right? So there's COVID, tenants. There are things that
people
can
not
drag.
showing up, lockbox. So we run into our biggest things is. We rekey because we do a lot of vacant, so we rekey and lockbox. Well, just getting that guy to go out there and rekey and lockbox it so that we can send people and take pictures is like we lose days and I just want to scream.
Dude, we just had this great duplex in Detroit, somewhere outside of Detroit, in Michigan, Wayne County, and it was like 3 weeks. Every day I'm like, what's going on with this deal? Like, why is this not out yet?
I just had a meeting with our guy that does all that coordination on the Dyspo team, and I'm like, if they tell you they're going to be out there tomorrow, tell them, no, that's too, I need it today.
Right.
And call the next guy, call another guy, call another guy. Like, we cannot lose time. Time is the killer because of your cash conversion
kills all
cycle.
deals.
If I have one more day to market to a buyer, that's one more day where they have more time till closing. That's one more day to get my buyer committed so that I can close it on the same day. Assignment or double close, whatever I'm doing.
And I'm sure you do this. Here's one thing that that we have done, we've implemented. So as our acquisitions person is getting off the phone, hey, Jerry, congratulations. We're all signed. Everything is good. Here's the next step. We use this all the time in our business. Here's the next step, because people don't know and a confused mind says no. So, they're excited, they're signing the contract, but they don't know what's next, right? So, our acquisitions team will say, hey, so here's the next step. Somebody from our transaction team is going to reach out to you in the next 24 hours. And also someone on our team is going to reach out to do a property tour and get pictures and do a video. So be expecting both of those calls.
Great.
So now they're ready and we're handing that baton off.
And that would be great. That's awesome if it's occupied, because that's a whole nother layer of complexity.
It is.
Because now you have to coordinate to get in the property versus vacant. So but that's great, because now you're setting up the next step to get people in there.
You don't have to tell people everything. Just tell them what's next.
One of the things we're doing too now is I tell my team constantly that the better it shows, the more it sells. So I used to think that, cash buyers get it. It's ugly, it's got crap everywhere,
dude.
and they'll see past that and they'll see that, heck no, because what's happening is when we side-by-side comparison between if we trash it out versus not trash it out, or if we have crappy pictures versus good pictures, we've seen assignments double. We actually had a deal where, I told this story to the VIP group last night, where we bought this property and it was a double close deal. We were double closing it. And I had clear title and everything, so I was okay to gamble and spend a little money before I bought it. It was vacant. So we go in there and we take our pictures and it needs a trash out. It wasn't really bad, but the basement was like to the ceiling and the master bedroom was like to the ceiling. And so we put it out, right? We Dyspo it. And some interest, because it was priced right. Interest, tire kickers, interest. And I'm like, you know what? This thing shows really bad. Let's trash it out. So we trash it out.
Relaunch it.
New pictures, relaunch it, and it was like a new property that nobody had seen almost. And we immediately get a buyer, and that moment it clicked. I'm like, cash buyers are no different than retail. If it shows good, it's gonna sell good.
Well, you have to put and this is a very important part of Dyspo, right? Put yourself in your buyer's shoes, right? They're not all you and me, right? They're not all super experienced. You've got mom and pops, right? So if they're looking at this place and they're like, geez, that's the way the tenants left this thing. Do I want to be in this area? Like they've seeded that doubt in their brain, and now they're like, I think I'll just wait for something else.
Well, here's what happened on that one. It was really interesting. We got feedback from a cash buyer. He said, I looked at the pictures and I saw that basement, and when we buy and there's basements, we need to look at the wall. I want to make sure there's no visible foundation. And he's like, and the thought of climbing through all that crap, I was just kind of like, you know what? Nah.
There's other deals.
There's something else I'll go do today instead. And so they passed.
Now
it's trashed out and it's all open and you can see everything. And
and in pictures.
And so along those lines, we're doing video. And we're even, not all the time, but we even take it a step further and we're doing Matterports.
We did Matterport a lot during COVID when we couldn't get in.
We're still doing that. So Matterport is the 3D model where you can actually see.
Cool.
They show you the whole floor plan, levels, all of it. Because if you've got a cash buyer and he's sitting in his office and he can make a decision without going to the property, and you have a buy now button, you're going to move your inventory.
You will. And we just tell them, look, you'll get a walkthrough before closing, so you don't have to worry. We guarantee you, like, this was done 2 days ago. There's nothing, no hocus pocus here. Nothing's going to change. We didn't hide anything. Because they can literally look at the floor and look at the ceiling. They can see every part of every room. It's amazing.
So tell me about this checklist. So guys, we'll give you this free checklist here. This is really cool. The checklist, it's going to walk them through, okay, you've got your contract with the seller. Here's all the things you don't want to miss.
Do these 10 things.
Do these things. Do these 10 things.
7 or 8 of them are like, I wouldn't skip. There's one like, if you're really having problems, you can call local, realtors and do some of that type outreach, which I know you do a lot of. But if you do these things, you'll sell 80% of your deals, unless you're just priced stupid wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, think about it this way, kind of to wrap up. You've got to price it to where it's going to move in 48 hours. So, make sure you're buying deep, you're offering it to the market. What you don't want to do in a business, you can do this if you're a onesie twosie operation, is the move it now number, let's say is 70, but there's an outlier that'll pay 80, but you're going to have to work really, really hard to find that outlier. It's just it's just an odd situation. They already own 2 properties on that street. They want another one. They're looking to buy their daughter a house and it's close by. Like that weird buy. There's always a weird buyer that overpays. There's some hedge fund that's got a weird formula, whatever. That model of like, I overpaid when I bought and now I have to oversell to move it. That's a really hard model. That's mostly what newbies do because they just bought wrong, so now they're stuck in that. But as you develop out your wholesale business, you want to be buying deep enough, you want to have a big assignment fee, and when you offer that deal to the marketplace, it will move if you're in front of the right audience, and then you work it. You work the cash buyer market, you do all the outreach stuff you said, and you will move your contracts in 48 hours, meaning get your buyer in 48 hours.
Two important things there. One, and you've heard this, I know a ton, people will get on stage and they'll say, if you just get 5 buyers, you'll be fine. Well, no, that's not true. You're gonna end up being those guys' employees. I've had people like that who are like, hey, I'll buy every one of your deals, but I only pay a $2,000 assignment fee.
Yeah, you're a cash buyer employee, I call it.
Yes, right. You don't wanna do that. But here's the other thing, and I learned this a long time ago, and your acquisitions people should understand this too. How does a buyer make money on this deal? Because if your acquisitions people understand this, and we talk a lot about this, then your acquisitions people have to understand, what is the end buyer gonna do here? Because even when we close on that deal and get funded, that deal lives on. Like the deal doesn't just poof, go away. Now it's your buyer's problem, right? So how are they gonna make money? Are they gonna make money renting it? Is it gonna be an Airbnb? Are they gonna rehab it? And does that number make sense that they can make money? Because if they can't make money, they're not going to buy it, right? This isn't charity. We're all great friends, but even my best friends aren't buying an overpriced deal from me, right? So
keep the bigger picture from the front. Think about the end.
Right. So if you go into it with that in mind, always understanding, okay, can somebody make money at this deal? And with my assignment fee on top, your success rate will be a lot higher.
That's a great perspective. Love that. Well, guys, in closing here, I want to let you know that David, his company, ezREIClosings?
ezREIClosings.
ezREI. I always forget the REI. He has a transaction coordination company. It's amazing. What they do is, as soon as you get your contract with the seller, you hand it off to David's team. It uploads into a portal, and they handle everything: the closing, the relationships, the follow-up with the seller. Then when you get your cash buyer, you upload that contract into the portal, and they just basically handhold everybody to closing, alleviates all of that pressure off of you, all of that stress off of you. It's fantastic, and it's a great service.
Yeah, and we've got a special that we do not offer to the public. So even if you go to ezREIClosings,
just for you.
For real, we don't offer this for everybody. ezREIClosings is going to there's a different model. So we've got something special for your guys. And as a free gift, we're going to attach that, our Dyspo course, where we really break this stuff down in really big detail. It's all videos and a workbook, all kinds of stuff. So we'll throw that in.
Love that. So we'll give that as well. So we'll put some links below in the description. So look for those links, because that's where you can get this information. It's just below in the description box. And be sure to watch that other video you and I did. I'll put a link for that as well, because on that video, we talked all about a transaction coordinator, how it can help you in your business, and how you provide that service. So you can learn more about what he does in that video. But be sure to get into David's world. You also are putting out a lot of content, and I love your... You're doing it's fantastic. It's really well done.
Well, thank you.
And I know Sheik, he's helping you a little bit.
Yeah, he does a great job. He lights it to try to make me look as good as we can. But we've been doing this for a long time, so we just get up there and we just talk about common problems that people have every day.
Yep. So guys, I'll put his social so you can follow him on Instagram and everywhere else, so you can learn from him as well. But again, thank you, David.
Cool, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me
you guys.
on.
Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we'll see you on the next video.